Hi, this is Mark from LongIslandWatch.com, and today I'm here to talk to you about gray market, but not from the normal buying perspective like you might expect, or like I've done in the past. Did a video on that probably 2 years ago at this point. I want to talk to you from the seller's perspective. Why would a seller resort to selling gray market? Well, actually, it's fairly simple, but let's just talk really quick. Gray market, again, been detailed before in my videos and other videos by other people. Gray market is kind of parallel importation. Company has too many watches on the books. They decide to sell them on the side, if you will, to people who are not authorized to carry the brand, and your gray market is born. Many would say that manufacturers themselves invent the gray market because how else do you get large numbers of watches off the books? You simply cannot destroy them, which actually I have heard of and some big names doing that. They literally just destroy the watches rather than letting them get in the hands of capitalism and the free market, where it's what I like to call the race to the bottom on price. When I started this business, oh my God, 18 years ago, I resorted to brands that I'd have to worry that would sell to me. These little micro brands over in Europe, Waterbreak, Elise, Trius, Junkers, all these little companies that don't have a real authorized distribution chain. Didn't matter. They would sell to anybody, kind of just as long as you had a website or something. And that's how I started my business, and it was great. I didn't have to worry about not being able to get goods. I was always able to get them. That's one good thing about dealing directly with the manufacturer, authorized distributor. You always have a steady supply of goods. Gray market, the supply is not steady. It is very dribby. Today, somebody might be offering you 50 SKUs, and then it may not come up for another 3 weeks or so where you can get more. But I'm selling watches, I'm doing well. And then I decided, you know what, let me try to bring some bigger names into the store. Again, this is this was nearly 2 decades ago. I go to all the trade shows and everything, and you walk up to these brands, and the second you would say internet retailer, online, they literally zip their mouths and turn off their hearing aids, pun form, but they won't talk to you. The internet was evil, the scourge of the earth. They won't deal. So in the beginning, I was forced to go gray market on a lot of the bigger brands, such as Seiko. Now, a lot of things have changed. I am basically authorized for everything I sell, except for like the occasional SKX that might come up, but those are obviously dwindling. I chose the road of full, what I guess, poor term, white market, not gray. And none of this is illegal again. Full white market, authorized manufacturers, full warranties, all the other good stuff. But back then, if I wanted Seiko, I had to get, I had to go through these back channels to get them. I was very successful at doing it, and I basically started a whole business around it. So why would a seller resort to the gray market? That is really the number one reason, because you aren't able to get the goods otherwise. So where there's a will, there's a way, right? So I had a will, I found a way, and I was able to start a business, and then that helped. Once you got one brand, then obviously snowballing, you're able to get more brands, and then eventually you actually have a store. And nowadays, of course, most big names understand the internet. A lot of them are selling direct now, as you know. Even the high-end Swiss stuff is selling direct. So why would a vendor go gray nowadays when you can get most stuff authorized as long as you have the finances, and you have the I guess the credit, the backing, good name, all this other good stuff. Well, once you submit to being authorized, you generally have to follow pricing guidelines and a whole bunch of other stuff. And with the pricing guidelines, there's not really a free market. A little bit of a dirty subject because price fixing is not allowed in this country. It's illegal. But if you sell a brand for less than the brand wants you to, they'll just stop. They'll cut you off. That's their prerogative. They don't have to sell to you. They're not fixing the price as much as telling you, please sell it for this amount, or we're not going to sell you anymore. Makes sense. So a lot of these bigger companies, you pretty much know who they are. Okay, they buy the watches in bulk from various distributors, and they resell them. Now, because they're not authorized, they don't have to follow the price list. So the watch that costs $2,000 in the store, you might be able to get for $1,200 at this website, online, gray market. right? Goods, who wouldn't do it? Almost. But you know what's wrong? Well, authenticity is always a little. You don't get the manufacturer's warranty, a bunch of other things. So that's decision for you to make. But for the decision for the reseller to make is, do I want to go legit and have fixed price, fixed margins, and I kind of know where I'm going in the future, or do I want to go gray, where maybe tomorrow it's Bulgari, the next day after that's Tag, next day after that's Hamilton, the next day, you name these brands, I can get them all. I don't want to. And then they can make their price whatever they want, because they don't have to answer to anybody. In case you're interested, very, very famous, kind of famous court case between Omega and Costco, I believe, right? Costco was selling Omegas. Omega sued. They were gray market. Omega sued. And it went pretty high up in the court chain. And the final ruling was, hey, Omega, Costco got the watches somehow. You guys clean up your act, and there's nothing wrong with what Costco's doing. They can do whatever they want. They have their product. They can sell it. They're not under your pricing restrictions. Well, interesting. So a vendor might want to do it, to save not to save money, to sell it for less. But that's the race to the bottom thing. I'm not a fan of the race to the bottom. Don't want to buy a watch for $1,000 and sell it for $1,100. That's not really where I am. Now, a lot of the bigger names that you probably know, they turn a tremendous volume. So they're making very good money, and they're doing well. And I have nothing against them. So why does a reseller turn to the gray market? Again, to start off, like me, just because that's your business model and you want to keep getting stuff that normally you wouldn't be able to get. Another reason you might turn to more along that lines is there's a watch that's simply not sold in your jurisdiction, such as the SKX, and you want to sell it. Kind of another reason why a vendor might go gray. I bring all this up because I had said in the beginning, I think I did, I filmed this a few times, I'm kind of on both sides of the fence. I'm going to tell you something fairly interesting. There's another thought, by the way, popping in my head. You might see my eyes thinking. I don't write any of this down. There's something else I want to say. I can't remember what it was. So if I remember it at the end, I'll blurt it out. Orient watches. So I started with Orient watches, I want to say 2006, 2007, authorized. I met Orient at the JA show at the Javits Center in New York. Hit it off very well. Ordered watches, authorized, great. Over the years, I grew Orient to be usually my number one selling brand, year on year, for a bunch of years. Orient was only being sold in like 3 or 4 authorized locations. Me, Amazon, I think 2 other guys. And I was doing great, selling very well. Okay? And again, being a seller, I get wholesale offers, what we call a gray market, wholesale offers all the time. And one day, a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe more than that, maybe it's 5 years ago, I got an offer for Orient watches from someone I know, a whole list. Now I've got several offers from people all over the world. Anyway, I saw the list and I said to myself, oh, beep. I said, party's over. All these little gray market guys in the US are going to pick them up and they're going to undercut me on price and everything else. Sure enough, that's what happened. It's only taken a few years, and Orient has gone from being one of my top tier brands to not really a bottom brand, but they're certainly underperforming for what they used to do. I'm an engineer, so the whole picking and packing area of my warehouse has a ton of thought, and all the top selling stuff is within 2 or 3 steps away from the person doing the packing. Orient has always been right by the packing desk, and I don't know, soon I might move it away a little bit because it certainly doesn't sell anywhere near what it used to. And it upsets me, but I'm okay with it. But it's up to Orient to clean up their act, and it's not Orient USA, it's Orient Japan. Are they overproducing whatever they're doing, and they're opening up the gray market for these watches? And it didn't exist before, I'd say, because the brand wasn't popular enough. But through great marketing, and maybe part of it was me. I'm selling watches and doing videos on Orient, and their production's going up, and then eventually we got too many watches, and then we start the downward spiral down to 0 again. So kind of unfortunate, but again, like I said, I was kind of on 2 sides on that brand. Like I said, nowadays, I don't want people might hear stuff and think different things. Guys, I'm fully authorized on almost everything I sell. I want to make that abundantly clear because I've gotten mostly out of the gray market. I still know a lot of gray market guys, but I've gotten out of most of that stuff. Okay, so in full disclosure, I finished filming the video because I couldn't think of the thought I wanted to tell you. I went on and did a whole bunch of other stuff, and then it popped in my head. So I'm recording the end again, so the frame might have shifted, the clock certainly jumped, whatever. What I wanted to say was, you may wonder why so many people sell used Rolexes, used watches in general. Not like online sellers that are specializing in one-offs, but like real, like you walk into like a Macy's in Herald Square. I don't know if they still do it, but they had like one of the largest used Rolex counters like in the country. Because you don't need a license from Rolex to sell used Rolexes. Once a watch is used, you can do whatever the heck you want with it. I could sell used Rolex if I want. You don't need any kind of permission from Rolex because you're not getting it from them anymore. It's not new, it's a used watch. Same thing with any brand. It does not matter. It's not gray market. It's just the used watch market. So that's a little analog that I really wanted to just kind of throw out there and mention. You may wonder why, hey, why do you have a used Omega counter, but you don't sell, Omega watches? That is specifically why. Anyway, so now that will do it. This has been Mark from LongRunWatch.com talking a little bit about the gray market. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Questions or comments, put them down below, and I'll be sure to address them as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.